Hi, how are you? My name is Lori Salomon. I am academic consultant for Macmillan Education. Today, I want to share with you 5 ideas to work with classroom management. Many times teachers ask for advice, what to do, how to do it, and today we're going to talk about it. So here they are. First idea. Okay, so number 1, use content as classroom management. What does it mean? It means that many times our classes are not interesting enough and our students get easily distracted and they get bored. A student who is entertained is engaged and is a student that participates willingly. So what can you do? Well, you can listen to songs, you can play games, you can watch videos, and very importantly, you can do collaborative work. I'm going to give you some suggestions for collaborative work. So as you saw, one way to do collaborative work is to use Kagan structures. Kagan structures were created by Dr. Spencer Kagan. He's a scientist, and back in the 60s, he studied how people learned, and he figured out that when we work together, we learn better. So he came up with a series of structures to use during collaborative work. There are many. Some of them you already know, some already you probably used. For example, find someone who, concentric circles. Think, pair, share. Others that you can use, mix per share, time share, round robin, rally robin. So there are many that you can use to make sure that you don't have group work where one student works and everybody else just sits around, but you have collaborative work where everybody participates, everybody is responsible, everybody is accountable. Okay, so here we go to number 2. What is the second idea? Negotiate a classroom contract. What does it mean? We all have rules for our classrooms, but sometimes we forget a crucial step to involve our students. Every student, doesn't matter how old he is, has an idea of what good behavior is and has an idea about what consequences and rewards should be for those behaviors. So bring them into the process. Create a contract. Did you notice that those contracts were signed? Why? Because that creates accountability. These rules were created with the teacher, with the students, everybody participated, everybody agreed, and we signed our names to say that we are aware and that we accept and that we are willing participants. Obviously, the contract is going to be different for little kids and older kids, but everybody becomes responsible for the behavior in the classroom. Okay, and number 3 has 3 parts. Which parts? Reinforce, reinforce, and reinforce. Key element of classroom management is to be constant and to constantly reinforce good behavior. What does it mean? Create a reward system. Everybody works better when they receive some sort of reward. What reward? That's for you to decide with your kids. As you saw, there are many ways to create a reward system. Some of them are very basic. You just use names. Some of them can be exciting and mysterious. What is the secret reward? Some of them can be physical. Some of them can be intrinsic. That's for you to decide what works better with you, for your students, for your class. But students need to be awarded when they are behaving correctly. And something important to remember, we have to reward every little perfect behavior. If you have a child who constantly moves around the classroom and he finally sits down, make a party. Excellent! I'm so proud of you. You are sitting down. So wonderful. Don't just act like it's expected, because for him, that is an achievement. So celebrate. Okay, and now we're ready for number 4. And here's a question. I want you to imagine this situation. You're in the high school cafeteria Everybody is talking, everybody's having their own little conversation. Some people might be listening to music, some people might be not even there, and suddenly somebody drops a tray. Big noise. What happens? Everybody stops, turns, and looks. Why? That's called pattern interrupt. It means that something happened that is not expected. Something is different from normal. And that's a way to get your students' attention. There are many ways to do it, but the idea is to surprise them, to constantly change what you do in the classroom. Okay, so how do we do a pattern interrupt? One easy way is to use attention grabbers. And this works for the little ones, the middle ones, and the older ones. Yes, even high school students. So what can you do? You can do funky, funny phrases. For example, hocus pocus, and your students answer, everybody focus. Macaroni and cheese, everybody freeze. Chica chica, boom boom. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and your student answer, 1, 2, eyes on you. And there are many others that you can use. Also, there's something called whole brain engagement. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It comes all the way from California, has many ideas, but this is one that you can use in your class. I say class, your students answer yes, but they have to answer the same way I do it. So for example, if I say class, class, my students have to say yes, yes. If I say class, it class, my students have to answer yes, it yes. So if I use a variation, my students are constantly exposed to something different. What about high school students? Is it easy to interrupt the pattern for high school students? Well, yes, of course. What about if you play a song? What about if you stop the action with a video from a movie, a clip from Game of Thrones, a funny meme? What about if you want to stop the action, you use the countdown from NASA and you start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ready for liftoff. The idea is have fun with your students. Okay, and here is lucky number 5, technology. Technology is everywhere and it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. So why don't we use it in the classroom? We know our students like technology. Sometimes they understand technology better than we do. So let's take advantage of that. There are many apps that you can download onto your phone, and there are also many sites that you can use on your laptop, on your computer for free. So you don't need to invest any money. So here are some examples. Okay, so we're going to look at 3 different kinds of apps or websites that you can use for classroom management. And we're going to divide them in 3 groups. The first one is how to form or choose groups for your students. And there are many apps that you can use, but I'm going to recommend 3. There is one called Popsicle Sticks. There's one called Pick a Stick, and the last one is called Who's Next. And what are they? They are random generators. What does it mean? You introduce the name of your students, you click, and you are going to have a random formation of groups. Why is that good? Because it allows problems. I don't want to work with Maria. I always work with Pedro. I don't like Susana. This is random. It's computer generator. No arguments. Okay, so you are having a wonderful time doing a group activity, collaborative work with your students. But here's the problem. Your students are getting louder and louder and louder and louder. How do you control the noise level in your classroom? Well, there is an app, and those apps are also available on websites that you can use. The first one is called Bouncy Balls, and quite honestly is my favorite. It has a bunch of bouncy balls that bounce with the level of noise in the classroom. When the classroom is too noisy, they bounce out of control. Another one that might be better for high school students is Classcraft. And it sort of looks like a fantasy genre, sort of talking or Game of Thrones. And you have an objective, And students have to keep quiet so they can reach their goal. And when they reach the level of noise goal, they get rewards. And the last one is actually very cute too. It's called Too Noisy, and it's a speedometer. So students can see where they are with their noise level. Where do you find them? Here. You can follow these links and check them out. Okay, and the last one is for content. We need to use technology to teach content because our students are watching tutorials on YouTube all the time. So we need to incorporate that curiosity into our classroom. There are many things that you can do. Here are some that I like. First, Kahoot. Very simple. You incorporate a quiz type of game into your classroom. You design the questions and your students have to answer. Another one that is super cool, Adobe Spark. It's a video creating app. How wonderful is that? Instead of having your students write a long report, how about they create a video? Another one that is very exciting and interesting, Poll Everywhere. Come up with questions and your students answer a poll and you get the results. You can choose very interesting topics. Students today are aware of what's happening. What do they think about the Me Too movement? Do they agree with some new law in their country? What is their favorite food? It can be very simple. It can be more complex. And the last one, which I think is genius, Book Creator. Your students get to write their own books and make their own digital books. So all of these apps are free. You don't have to invest any money. And all of them have educational content. So instead of being completely absorbed with WhatsApp and Instagram, they can do something that is good for them. So these are 5 quick ideas for classroom management. We hope that they were helpful and that they somehow make your job easier. And because we like to help you and we think teachers have one of the hardest jobs in the planet and they need all the help they can get, we are going to be here giving you tips, ideas, content, etc. to make your life easier. So from Macmillan Education and Edusol, thank you very much for coming. See you later.